Hello my friends, let's talk about Juuni Taisen, a death game anime that at first look appeared to be just another edgelordy romp through violence land. And while that can be fun in and of itself, what really made this anime shine for me was the warrior of the monkey, killing peacefully. Seriously, I finally thought I had found my official otaku trash forever waifu in Makoto from Persona 5, and then this calm, confident, and attractive punch girl jumps into the scene and tries to take her place. And what's more interesting was that Juuni Taisen was using this character in a uniquely interesting way. In most death game genre shows, the death game is seen as a horrible, abnormal occurrence happening because of an oddly powerful antagonist. In Juuni Taisen, however, the 12 families and their significant influence over the war and violence of the world is just an accepted fact, much like the death game itself. However, the warrior of the monkey, Shiryu, came in specifically with the intent of bringing an end to the death game as a whole. She is established as a kind of main character, yet was the antagonist to the normal play of events in this world. Her role was that of a tortured diplomat, who blamed herself for each and every time her innovative peace negotiations ultimately resulted in more bloodshed. She considered herself a failure, a murderer, because she couldn't bring about the results that she wanted. The other contestants ridiculed her goal, but she proved herself to be formidable. From this character, the philosophy of the show has become clear. This was a show about ethics placed in a world that otherwise sees ethics as a pointless, meaningless consideration. And many of the characters found themselves on one side of a simple dividing line. Do you care about ethics or not? In our current time, because the various schools of existentialism have become so popular, you'll often hear people saying things like, ethics aren't real, or morality is subjective. But when put to a practical test, these people almost always act in accordance with right and wrong being objectively true. Moral subjectivism is an inconsistent philosophy that only applies when it is convenient for the user. But I digress. The characters in Juuni Taisen aren't nearly that weak-willed. Those who fall on the anti-ethical side clearly commit to that position and accept any course of action as proper, regardless of consequences. The monkey warrior, however, is somewhat of a red herring to the philosophical message, because in seeing her backstory, we are led to believe that the show has something to say about the nature of war and peace. Instead, we turn to the warrior of the ox, killing systematically, Ushi, and his backstory of helping the drunken tiger warrior cross that line from being unconcerned with ethics back to caring about the good once more. She asked him a terribly complex question. How can you pursue what's good, and how can you know what you're doing is good without doubting it? Quite the broad and unfair question. Yet, Ox has an answer. First, you intend to do what is good, and then you do what is good. A bit oversimplified. And yet, Ox is able to articulate an idea that I've been sitting on for quite some time. That regardless of the results of your actions, your potentiality to find goodness can only be actualized if you are at least trying to do what is good. Ethics is concerned with actions, and often split into two categories: the intent behind the action and the results of the action. One internal and one external burden. These issues were first tackled in this manner by the Jewish philosophers and theologians Baya ibn Pakuda and Maimonides. For example, let's say we have a warrior who intends to set a trap to kill an innocent person. When that trap went off, it actually caught and killed a different murderer, thus saving the innocent man's life. But it would be a mistake to praise the first intended murderer as a hero for saving a life. After all, he actually intended to kill someone else, and accidentally saved the life of his target. In the same stroke, let's say we have a warrior intending to show an innocent person how to use a gun, but accidentally fires a round into that innocent person's head and kills them. Sure, the warrior was taking up the task of teaching self-defense, but does that count as heroic enough that the killing they caused is without liability? That's doubtful. In that same token, we wouldn't then consider a person who does a good action without thought or reflexively as laudable either. If it was automatic, then they could just as easily have caused something bad. Their consequence is irrelevant to their goodness. So, with that said, to determine if something is good or not, you must first intend something. This is the warrior of the ox's philosophy. In order to achieve goodness, an intent to do good is a necessary condition, and you must then act on that intention. While the warrior of the monkey couldn't see this, we ultimately can't guarantee that good consequences will result. Xiaoryu was too focused on that final necessity of confirming that a good consequence actually came about. Ox teaches that we must focus our will on that first intention. Otherwise, we have no chance of fulfilling the other side of ethics. A lesson that we, as the viewer, may learn without deadlier consequence. To do a good action, you must first have the necessary condition of an intent to do good. Then, once the consequence has been borne out and you've done your action, it must be determined that what you have done has actually resulted in something good as well. And it is when both of these necessary conditions are met, we get something that is jointly sufficient for creating goodness, for creating an ethical action. Juuni Taisen was a fun and interesting show for what it wanted to accomplish. And, as a special mention, the last episode in the series may have been the most philosophical single episode of last season. And I'll be covering the last episode of Juuni Taisen in my next PhilosAnime video. Thank you for watching, my friends. If you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Also, share the video with your friends. I don't pay anyone to promote the channel, so the only way we can grow is with your help. Thanks again, and remember, stay true.